To get to some news, and we got a special guest here in studio. Dan, who's here?
Well, we have the former city council member and former interim mayor after Bob Filner got kicked out, Todd Gloria.
Hey, Dan. Good morning.
Good morning. Now he has a job in Sacramento, and you were there yesterday with the governor and the whole budget thing. Well, first of all, what was that like to have, like, at that scale, I guess?
Oh, it's a bigger pond for sure than City Hall.
Yes,
and yeah, you're like, I'm sitting next to the governor. Okay, this is my life now.
How'd that go? With the governor?
He's awesome. He's a tough fellow. He doesn't suffer fools. But I think we're all really grateful he runs our state, right? I mean, I think when you consider that just about 10 years ago, people were talking about breaking up California and that California is ungovernable. No one's saying that now. In fact, we're seen as a national leader on a number of important issues. And so I give Governor Brown a lot of credit for that. I give the legislature a lot of credit for that. And I'm happy to be a part of the team that hopefully can continue to make California a land of opportunity.
And of course, our economy is doing better, so more money's coming in, making life a little easier.
Much easier. Now, the governor has a different point of view on that, right? He's projecting a fairly modest budget deficit in California. The legislature has a different point of view, and we're going to spend the next number of months sort of duking that out. But at the end of the day, I think everyone is confident that the underpinnings of the state's finances are pretty strong. Yeah. And really what we're arguing about is how much do we save for a rainy day, because Lord knows whether it's a recession or some sort of adverse actions by the new federal administration, there may be some tough days ahead for California.
I know that the governor has been pushing hard for the rainy day fund, whereas a lot of people are saying, hey, let's spend that money on things we need, like roads and bridges and things like that. So that's kind of the debate. Do we save or do we spend?
Yeah, well, it's not just the governor, the voters. The voters approved, a rainy day fund, and the reserves are growing exponentially as a result of that. We could weather a fairly modest recession right now thanks to the reserves that we have. Now, no one wants to spend that money, and thankfully the economy doesn't really warrant it at the moment, but Governor Brown is continuing to use his influence to really fill those reserves up further. Naturally, there are a lot of needs across the state, and while the state's finances are pretty good and the overall economic outlook is good, we know that poverty is increasing. We know that more Californians are having difficulty making ends meet, and so those are a lot of demands on people like me. When I come home on the weekends and I'm out and about in San Diego, in Imperial Beach and other parts of my district, people are saying, hey man, it's hard to afford housing here, right? Transportation, the roads are pretty rough. What are you doing about that? And that's where the argument is, and I think the answer is there's a good compromise in there where we can be prudent for the future while at the same time making smart investments to make sure this economic expansion continues as long as possible.
So hopefully there's enough to go around.
That's the goal, right?
Yeah, that's the goal. All right, so that's the legislature. Obviously, what's on everybody's mind, still at the top of everybody's mind, is the Chargers getting up and leaving on Thursday. First of all, just your gut reaction on this.
Well, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking, and I say that my father and brother are longtime season ticket holders. I mean, they are heartbroken. They feel betrayed. And I know that they're representative of literally thousands of season ticket holders, fans. And I think they're the real losers in all this. People have been quick to, I think the team ownership has made it, oh, well, we could never get a fair shake from City Hall. City Hall has sort of said they couldn't work with the team. Everyone's sort of making themselves out to be a victim. The truth of the matter is it's really the fans who are really getting the raw deal. And I just don't get it, because I don't think moving to LA is going to make the fortune. Well, it's going to make them richer, the team richer, clearly. But
already has.
But there's not a warm embrace up there. It's obvious already, right? And I haven't seen the footage of the thousands of Los Angeles Charger fans out in the streets celebrating. And it's not there. What I see is footage of thousands of San Diegans being distraught. And I think that's telling about the future prospects of that franchise.
Now that they're gone, right, and we can speak honestly and openly about what's in the negotiations. How was it? I mean, were they talking to you at all? No. Did they lie to you the entire time? I mean, my feeling is, as a news reporter watching this, I feel as if we were lied to the entire time.
I can't recall an instance where they were not truthful, but they certainly were not open. And I would say, and I've said it actually on this program several times over my time on the city council, so I never met with them at their request. It was always at my request. And that really shows a relationship that isn't collaborative and isn't, if you are a business looking for a public investment, you're knocking on the door all the time. City Hall, now the legislature, people are calling all the time asking for help and whatnot. That was never the case on their part. Though really the most direct negotiation that I ever had with them was was when I was serving as mayor, and they came out in opposition to the expansion of the convention center. As you might recall, we went to the Coastal Commission, we got the approval. They were against that, and that was a signature project of the city, something that was very important to our economy for keeping Comic-Con, and they came in and said, we don't support this. And my commitment to them at that time was, we will continue to work with you, but we've got to get this done. And I think that was really telling about the loyalties. And I think in retrospect, you kind of know that at that point in time, they'd made their decision. They needed to go through the process to exit and do what I think we understand, which is doubling the value of the team simply by moving about 100 miles up the road.
Yeah. Because it did. The article is out this morning that says that team is now worth $3 billion.
Yeah.
And
it's my
$3 billion,
right.
Todd.
Well, and I think that's the difficulty for someone like my father, who's a fan. This is, in his mind, this is about the sport. This is about all that comes with that. For them, it's about the money. It's a business transaction. And it's that convergence where people don't see it as a business transaction and they don't get the move. Whereas, we think that the ownership should think about the loyalty and the decades of love that's been given by San Diegans. They just don't see it that way either. It's a complete miscommunication that ultimately leaves us without a National Football franchise, but I don't think anyone is of the belief that San Diego is less of a great place to be. No. I mean, this might be catastrophic for other communities, but I mean, we're San Diego. Largest city in the country. We have a ginormous economy. We have jobs and kinds of things that people would kill for in other cities, and that is still true today. We're just down a football team, but from a budgetary standpoint, Dan, we were paying out millions each year to keep them here. Yep. That's no longer an expense, and my hope is that the mayor and the city council will reuse some of those dollars to tackle our homeless crisis, to fill some more potholes and take care of business around here. I think by doing that, there'll be far better days ahead for the city.
Well, that appears to be what's headed our way on the ballot coming up, because there's going to be another hotel tax to vote on, but it won't be for the Chargers. Yeah, so you stepped away from that whole deal.
Well, it's so weird.
Which is nice.
500 miles away, and I'm reading this on Twitter, and I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay.
Oh, so that's what's going on in my old neighborhood. Oh my gosh. So I got to ask you this. Mm-hmm. So you're in the Assembly now. Mm-hmm. What are your plans? What are your plans for the future? A lot of people are saying that someday you might be governor. Would you be interested? Someday. I'm serious. Would you be interested someday in running to be the governor of California?
I've only recently discovered where the governor's office is in the Capitol, so give me some time.
Okay, physically, yes, but mentally and emotionally.
You know what? Here's what I'll tell you. I served briefly as mayor of San Diego, right? And I did that for 7 months. I will tell you, there's a lot of appeal to the executive job. And what I told people back then was that, as a council member, I by myself could not do much of anything. I'd have to convince 4 of my colleagues to do much. As mayor, I really only need to agree with myself, right? So it's a pretty good gig. I imagine that's probably true at the state level as well. I'm still finding my way around Sacramento. In the near term, I'm hoping to introduce some pretty important legislation around housing affordability. I'm very concerned about middle-class housing. I think we do, obviously, a lot for high-end housing. There is some subsidized affordable housing. But for a lot of your viewers who don't qualify for subsidies and can't afford the new condos in downtown, we need to find something for those folks.
Yeah, stuck in the middle.
I'm laser-focused on that particular issue and hope to have some legislation out soon. I got some other kinds of bills that I think San Diego small businesses, to maybe some of our veterans. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pass the best legislation that I can, and if that allows me to continue in public service for years to come, I'd be delighted to do it. Dan, the best part about my life is that all I have to do every morning, I don't have to push a stock price or a shareholders report. I just got to make our state a better place. Yeah. I'm a lucky guy.
Right. So you do want to be governor someday?
I'd love to stay in public service. I think it's really awesome to be able to get up every day and work for other people and not yourself.
All right. Todd, Gloria, well, we're going to miss you over at City Hall, but I think you got a good replacement.
I got a good replacement, and I'm home every weekend, because why would you spend the weekend in Sacramento if you can go home to San Diego?
Why would you? And fly right over that big city they call L.A., right?
Yeah,
and hold your nose.
Yeah, I don't know those people.
Yeah, I don't know those people either. Todd, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Dan.
Todd, Gloria, our new Assembly member. Yeah. That's right. Moving on up. Okay.